All right, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to You Don't Know Ball. Got another fun episode for you guys today. Picking up right where we left off last week, we're going to be doing our top 5 player position rankings, switching over to the defensive side of the ball. To start out here, we're going to start with our top 5 interior defensive linemen. And right out the gate, here at number 5, I got Darren Payne. Darren Payne, picked in the first round, 13th overall back in 2018. Never had produced the way that I'm sure the Commanders had pictured until last year. First Pro Bowl year of his career with 11.5 sacks, 18 tackles for a loss, and 20 hits on the quarterback. For an interior player, those numbers are amazing. Rewarded with the new big contract, and it's certainly the jump that every Commanders fan was looking for. At number 4, we got Quinn Williams. Pretty similar to Darren Payne, Quinn Williams finally made that big leap last year the Jets fans were looking for when he drafted an interior player as high as that, Quinn was drafted. Quinn, though, substantially higher. Quinn was the 3rd overall pick in the draft back in 2019. Last year, first year, he had over double-digit sacks, sitting at 12 sacks. 12 tackles for a loss, 28 hits on the quarterback. Not only was he a Pro Bowler last year, Quinn Williams actually also was a first-team All-Pro. Them All-Pros are really what matters. And there's no doubt, Quinn Williams is an absolute monster on the interior D-line. And the big thing surrounding Quinn Williams right now is going to be, how much is he going to be paid? We know the Jets and him are working down, trying to figure out a contract. It's going to be interesting to see how much that he ends up being worth. At number 3, we got Dexter Lawrence. And again, very similar to the last 2 guys on this list, Dexter Lawrence made that big leap last year. His numbers don't necessarily pop out as much, but that's because he truly is just a complete plug in the middle, just absolutely disrupting everything. And again, not the other 2 guys aren't huge disruptors. They're just not as big body and just as much of a disruptor as Dexter is straight up. Just a huge body right in the middle of the line, literally muddying everything up. Pass and run, it's not going to be as easy with Dexter right there. 7.5 sacks last year, 7 tackles for a loss, and then 28 hits on the quarterback. Again, like I said, Dexter's numbers don't pop out as much to the eye, but that's because he is literally just kind of the man who's messing things up every single play. He's not always going to be the guy that's really making the tackle, getting the sack, but his impact is certainly there if you're watching. A guy like Dexter Lawrence just straight up provides value that very few other players in the league can, and probably will for a long time. At number 2, we got Chris Jones. And I'll be completely honest with you guys right now. Look, man, it was really hard not to put Chris Jones at number 1. He's just been getting better and better. Last year, he became the all-time playoff sack leader, which is an incredible accomplishment. Plays his best when it matters most, but he also dominates the regular season too, don't get it twisted. Last year, the first all-pro selection of his career, 15.5 sacks, 17 tackles for a loss, 29 hits on the quarterback. Chris Jones is a top 2 interior player in the league, and honestly, depending on who you ask, depending on what day you ask me, he truly could be number 1 as well. And again, I think we all know who's going to be number 1, but that's the problem, is if that person wasn't number 1, trust me, Chris Jones is sneaking in there without a question. Chiefs fans know Chris Jones is nothing to be played with. And if you don't realize that he's one of the best defenders in the entire league, you are just absolutely fooling yourself. And then at number 1, we have Aaron Donald. Now, Aaron Donald, only playing 11 games last year, did not get the full workload. So we just didn't get to see him at his full strength. And again, we all know what Aaron Donald was capable of. Best defender of our generation, the best pass rusher of our generation, one of the best run stuffers, if not the best run stuffer of our generation. Aaron Donald is just the complete package, the greatest we've ever been able to see. And what a blessing it's been, honestly. But last season, again, the reason I'm saying all that is because the numbers weren't up to par with what we're used to. But that's because, Rams just weren't themselves and the injury. But anyways, we're looking at from last season, 5 sacks, 10 tackles for a loss, and 11 quarterback hits. Not the AD that we're used to, but again, I don't think it's going to be the same version of him we're going to keep getting. This was just a bit of an off year. And when he's at his peak, we just know what AD's capable of. And I couldn't knock him off number 1 just for one slow year. I'm real big on that, especially when the injury was the cause. Got to give him another shot to redeem himself. And yeah, there's just not much more to say. Aaron Donald, the defender of our generation, and he belongs to number 1 on the list. All right, on to the top 5 edge defenders. Number 5, starting off with Maxx Crosby. Just keeps making leaps, just keeps getting better, man. We all know about Maxx Crosby. Got great speed for his size. Strong, violent, good dude. Gotta love Mad Max, dude. Last year, we were looking at 12.5 sacks, 22 tackles for a loss. Led the league for players at his position. 36 hits on the quarterback. You can't have him in the game without him getting in the quarterback's head. And even on plays not getting home for a sack, that's the best thing you can be doing. Got to keep the offense uncomfortable. At number 4, we have TJ Watt. And like I was telling Hunter before he started this whole list for the defense was so much harder than the offense. And especially the edge rushers was really hard themselves. TJ Watt at number 4 just sounds kind of egregious, but that's just how well built this league is with pass rushers right now. There are so many superstar pass rushers, so many elite, incredible pass rushers in our league. Again, a guy that just won Defensive Player of the Year, falling to 4 just sounds crazy. But it does make sense when you consider, okay, the last year, the big injury, didn't play that many games. That really is the main reason more than anything. And he'll be 29 again next year, getting a little bit older. Not old, but you get my point. We're going to have to see how he resumes. But anyways, last year, in the 10 games he did play, looking at 5.5 sacks, 8 tackles for a loss, 12 hits on the quarterback. So again, nothing crazy. But for the amount of games he played, those are definitely really solid numbers. And we know if TJ Watt gets back to his full self, it's going to be scary for the league. Number 3, we have Myles Garrett. Again, how I was just saying, having Myles Garrett at number 3, it just feels effed up. But again, so much pass rushing talent in the league. I'm sorry, I can't put him any higher. I just can't. But we know Myles Garrett is just unbelievably talented. Future Hall of Fame type of player. And he's just been a model of consistency for a long time now. So we look at last year, in the 15 games that he did start, 16 sacks, 18 tackles for a loss, and then 26 hits on the quarterback. Myles Garrett just disrupts the game in every way possible. Absolutely beats up linemen on the pass rush, disrupts the hell out of the run game. He does all the right little things, getting his hands up. He's going to be a disruptor any way he can. Myles Garrett's just an incredibly smart football player, incredibly dominant football player. And again, like I'm saying, it's crazy to have it number 3, but when you see number 2 and 1, you'll certainly understand. And then at number 2, we have last year's Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa. I know Niners fans are probably ready to beat my ass right now, but trust me, let me explain myself. Y'all might get me a little more here. Nick Bosa, first of all, my guy. Last year when we had our predictions for, the NFL awards, Nick Bosa was my guy. I had taken Defensive Player of the Year. Safe to say, I saw the vision, had the crystal ball in my hands. So let me be clear, Nick Bosa is my guy. I got no issues with Nick Bosa. Fantastic pass rusher. Love what he does. But again, I can't spoil number 1. But let me tell you why Nick Bosa is number 2. Let me tell you why he's just an incredible player. So as we know, as I had said, last year's Defensive Player of the Year, 18.5 sacks, 19 tackles for a loss, and then 48 hits on the quarterback. Oh my Lord. So yeah, safe to say, Nick Bosa was just running wild, doing whatever he wanted. Fantastic against the run. Statistically, the best against the pass. Just an unbelievable talent. We knew when he was coming out the draft, 4 years ago, Nick Bosa was going to be a problem. And sure enough, he's turned into a problem for literally every offense that he goes against. But last year, I would say was the first year where you really felt that humongous jump, where Nick Bosa really did turn into a future Hall of Fame type of talent. Now he's just got to keep the motor rolling, stay healthy. There's no question. He can keep doing this year after year. All right, and then on to the number 1 pass rusher in the NFL, Micah Parsons. So again, you just look at statistics, you'd be saying to me, how in the world are you going to have Micah above Nick Bosa? As a lot of you know, but for those of you that don't, I'll toss the reminder out. It's just simply because Micah Parsons half the time isn't even rushing the passer, and he still puts up unbelievable starting all-pro pass rushing numbers. And we know from the Cowboys letting us know, this year Micah is not going to be playing that linebacker role anymore. He is purely in the pass rushing role, playing defensive end. They said, look, Micah, you're incredibly talented doing what you do, where we kind of have you here, we kind of have you there, we have you everywhere. We occasionally even have you playing slot against somebody. You know what? That's not going to work anymore because you're just too damn talented, where if we have you rushing the passer every snap, I could see you going for 25 sacks. If I was in the meeting room, I'd assume it sounded actually pretty much something just like that, where it is, again, you're amazing everywhere, but it doesn't matter because you are the best, and we want you to be the best at this every snap. I think that's just what it comes down to. So again, though, for the half the time that he was pass rushing, here's the numbers. 13.5 sacks, 13 tackles for a loss, and then 26 hits on the quarterback. But you picture those numbers and turn them into full-time rushing numbers, there is no question that we don't even know what the limit looks like for Micah Parsons. I would say the sky's the limit, but for a guy like Micah, that just might be too low. He might be thinking stratosphere. He might be thinking further than that. But yeah, you'll get my point. Micah Parsons is just an unbelievable talent, and we're going to get to see it on full display this year for truly the first time. All right, let's move on to our top 5 linebackers. Starting off at number 5, we have, in my opinion, one of the most underrated players in the history at this point of the NFL. I'm talking about Lavonte David. Just a model of consistency for a long time down there in Tampa. An absolute beast near the ball, amazing in the run, really solid against the pass. Lavonte David just straight up has been one of the best interior linebackers in the league for a decade plus. And he just does not get the respect he deserves. So I'm here to give it to him. Even as a rival Saints fan, it don't matter, man. Real recognize real. And Lavonte David is the truth. Let's look at his numbers from last year. 3 sacks, 124 combined tackles, 10 tackles for a loss, 3 hits on the quarterback. Again, Lavonte David is just a field general type of linebacker. Anything you need him to do, he'll be able to do it. Just an all-around linebacker. And in today's league, that's the thing everyone needs most. You need someone to anchor your defense, be able to toss out signals. Got like Lavonte David. At number 4, we got Tremaine Edmonds. I know Bears fans will be cheesing to hear this. New arrival over there. But yeah, man, Tremaine Edmonds, an amazing, budding young linebacker. And Tremaine's one of those guys where he started his career so damn young You look and you're like, are we sure this dude is not like a rookie or a sophomore player? You know, something messed up here in the database. But no, sure enough, in his 5th year in the league, he was only 24 years old. So, you know, in my opinion, that's a good thing. You got a young guy with a lot of experience. Great combination. Tremaine's real nice against the pass, amazing against the run, great hitter, puts fear into the offense. Let's look at those stats from last year. 1 interception, 1 sack, 102 combined tackles, 6 tackles for a loss, 3 hits on the quarterback. But keep in mind, this was only in 13 of 17 possible games. So, you know, missing 4-game sample size is pretty big. And honestly, though, really solid numbers regardless of the time missed. Yeah, there's no question. Tremaine Edmonds is one of those guys where if you're looking for a player that's going to be dominating the league for a long period of time, because like I was saying, he's in that perfect age range, that experience range. And we know the Bears and their linebackers, man, something about the Bears interior linebackers just becoming beasts, already being beasts. It's kind of like their signature. So yeah, I have no doubt he's going to go down there in Chicago and just keep doing his thing. At number 5 with Lavonte David, we were talking about some underrated linebackers. Let's just keep that streak going, man. At number 3, got my boy Demario Davis. And no, this is not just a homer pick. If you watch Saints football, you know though, Demario Davis is an absolute monster. And again, he just one of those guys does not get the respect he deserves. I'm here to give it to him. Thing when you think of Demario most, he's just a ferocious hitter. If he's hitting you, he's going to be laying the boom on you, and believe that. But not only that, he's really, really fluid, real solid against the pass, knocking things down, keeping his hands up, really amazing against the run, timing gaps perfectly. He's going to get in there. He's going to make you pay. He's going to do his little celebration. I don't know if you know, he hits that. I don't know, some dragging the ball something, bro. But he hits it. It's right on cue. And you know what I'm talking about if you know what I'm talking about. But the point is, yeah, Demario Davis, just a beast, man. Way too underrated. Even when you look at his stats. Last year, we got 1 interception, 6.5 sacks, 109 combined tackles, then 8 hits on the quarterback, along with 10 tackles for a loss. Seriously, Demario Davis has just been an absolute animal for the last 4 or 5 years. Has not been getting that respect he deserves. Let's get the trend going, man. Hashtag give Demario his respect. But yeah, all jokes aside, Demario, just unbelievable. Top 3 interior linebacker in the league, no questions asked. And then on to number 2. I think I got a big surprise for you guys here, because I think a lot of people probably thought I was going to go Fred Warner at number 1. But lo and behold, I have Fred Warner here at number 2. Let me tell you guys why. Don't get me wrong. Fred Warner, unbelievable player, all-pro player, probably for the next 4 or 5 plus years. Just an amazing linebacker. And he has just been awesome since he's come in the league. Second all-pro selection last year. So we ended up with 1 interception, 2 sacks, 130 combined tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 6 QB hits. Now, I'll be the first to admit, when you look at just those numbers, or hear just those numbers, you know, maybe you're thinking to yourself, like, well, why, you know, like the all-pro, you know, the first team all-pro thing, why is that? You know, like maybe those numbers don't pop out to you as much as somebody had a lot more receptions, a lot more tackles for a loss, maybe a few more sacks. But again, if you're really watching Fred Warner, you understand. It's just his ability to lock things down in coverage. Fred Warner is a lockdown linebacker. You really aren't going to be looking to throw his way, which for a lot of middle linebackers, you just wouldn't even be thinking about. He changes the game with his impact in that way. Just an absolute zone hog. And for that, you always have to account for him. And it makes him a special player. Then back to number 1, I got Bobby Wagner. And I know, honestly, I'm going to catch flack for this, but that's just fine. And the reason I have Bobby here above Fred is because, now hear me out. We already know Bobby's pedigree, man. For a long time now, Bobby Wagner has been the guy at the middle linebacker position. Fantastic against the pass, amazing against the run, ferocious hitter. He checks all the boxes. And last year, he almost had, in my opinion, like a huge resurgence here. And not that he was playing poorly any of the years before this by any means, but just really back to that dominant Bobby Wagner that we know and love. And I think my comparison in my head, which is what made me throw him back up here number 1, is I think, again, back to that resurgence, I think he could kind of have the end to his career that like Ray Lewis had. Well, I mean, literally right at this age 33, you're like, oh, you know, it's going to be a bad trajectory. But lo and behold, right at the same time, Ray Lewis won a slew of all-pro appearances, just kept dominating. I can see Bobby Wagner having like that same trajectory to end his career because we know he's just such a smart player. He's still athletic, in great shape, still making it work. I have no doubt if he can stay healthy, Bobby Wagner can have that type of end to his career and just type of career really look back and say, wow, Bobby Wagner really was the guy at that position for so damn long. And then on to our top 5 corners in the league. Starting out at number 5, I got one that's going to throw a lot of you guys for a loop, probably catch a lot of flack for it, but it is what it is because I truly do believe it and I'm going to stand on it. And this is more of a, per se, predictory pick, if that's even a word, but y'all know what I mean. But hear me out. I'm saying like by the end of the year, dude's going to be a top 5 corner. If you don't know him, you need to go watch. You need to get familiar because dude is a beast and you need to stop sleeping. And that dude is Tyson Campbell. So like I'm saying, yeah, Tyson Campbell, underrated. Not getting the respect he needs, but that's fine, you know. Last year, only year 2, playing for Jacksonville. We know Jacksonville doesn't get a ton of media love. But here at YDKB, you know, we've given every team the same amount of love, so we're going to cover everybody. Exactly why we're talking about Tyson Campbell right now. Awesome, long, physical, real nice against the run, great tackler. Obviously, you know he's a beast against the pass. We wouldn't be talking about him here if he wasn't a great corner against the pass. Real stout in zone, real nice in man, real nice press ability. I have no doubt Tyson Campbell really could be an all-pro type of player next year. And if you don't believe me, like I said, you just got to go watch. You got to get familiar. I think you'll understand where I'm coming from here. I know Jags fans know. Shouts to Duval. Then at number 4, we have Jalen Ramsey. And if you've been watching football for any period of time now, you're no stranger to the fact that Jalen Ramsey's been a beast, literally ever since he came in the league. And that still hasn't changed. Jalen Ramsey still is a beast. He's just not top 3 corner in the league type beast, at least after last year. But that's just fine because he's still an amazing player, still an all-pro caliber player. And he's going to come bring that heat to the Dolphins. And we know Jalen, just physical, great in zone, great in man. You can ask him to do anything. He's going to be able to do it for you. Real smart player. It's exactly what we're looking for. So last year, statistically, 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles. Jalen Ramsey, just a ball hawk. He's looking for the ball at any chance he can get. Whether it's picking that thing off, punching that thing out, that's Jalen Ramsey. Another big reason he's just such an impactful player. All right, and then at number 3, we got Jaire Alexander. There's a lot of adjectives you could use to describe a guy like Jaire. Nimble, sneaky, fluid. Jaire Alexander just has great body control. And you would better be careful if you're throwing in any type of tight window with this dude near. But regardless of his ability and coverage, great against the run, nice physical corner, fantastic press ability, and just an absolute ball hawk. Last season, 5 interceptions, which is nothing to play with. Jaire's a lockdown over there in Green Bay, and he has been for the past few years now. I think at this point, all that's left for him is just to get that first team All-Pro selection. And I think the trajectory of his career, no matter what, is just going to stay on the up. Then at number 2, we have Sauce Gardner. So I'll admit to you guys, between 1 and 2 was a really hard decision to make. And the only reason I went with my guy at 1 above Sauce, really, was just because I feel my guy at 1 is a little bit more dominant against the run, a little bit better of a tackler at this stage in his career. But as far as everything else goes, and even in run defense, don't get me wrong, Sauce is still real solid. And we know, against the pass, Sauce is unbelievable. Fantastic in zone, fantastic in man, press the shit out of you, fantastic length, just a sticky corner. And especially the fact he was just a rookie last year, truly, the limit for Sauce, it's just, there's not one. Sauce is going to be a generational player for us if he can stay healthy. There's no question. And again, I knew Sauce was going to be a really nice pro coming out, but I did not think his ceiling was going to be as high as it is, especially already. I mean, Sauce Gardner is unbelievable. And if you're a Jets fan, you got to be so excited about it. Only 2 interceptions last year, but again, hear me out. That's because you really aren't going to find a lot of people throwing Sauce's way. Sauce is just locking down his island over there in Sauce Island. Did lead the league, though, with 20 passes defended. So again, it's like, you're going to try him. He's going to defend that pass. If my guy at number 1 wasn't as dominant as he was, I have no question. Sauce would already be 1 in his rookie year. And then at number 1, we got Patrick Surtain. And I think with corners, it's almost to the point really where if you ask a lot of people being honest, their 1 and 2 would probably be interchangeably just what we had here. Because Patrick Surtain is just a dog. Amazing against the run. Just a great tackler. Awesome in zone. Awesome in man. Fantastic press. And he does it all at the highest level. He's that perfect frame, 6'2", right around 200 pounds. And again, he's just a ball hawk. Not a lot of people are going to be throwing his way. So only the 2 interceptions. But for how often people throw his way, 2 interceptions, that's a lot. And then the 1 forced fumble to go with it. Patrick Surtain's going to be a lockdown for a long time in the league. He has the pedigree we know from his pops. Patrick Surtain's just a beast, man. And he could be the number 1 corner in the league for a long time here if he just stays healthy. All right, let's close out with the safeties. Starting off at number 5, got Talanoa Hufanga. And we know Talanoa had a big breakout last year. And I'll talk about him a lot because I was a big fan. Kind of came out of nowhere. 5th round pick in 2021, not getting tons of tick. Only started 3 games his rookie year. Then we come out to, the sophomore year, starting all 17 games, getting that first team All-Pro selection. It's a hell of a jump. And he was filling out the stat sheet, let me tell you. 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 2 sacks, 97 combined tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, and then 3 hits on the quarterback. Talanoa is just a guy who disrupts the game all around. He's going to be fantastic in the box. But got to get him back up high a little still. He's going to still play great in zone for you. He can still do it all. And the big comparison, a lot of people were making last year is he's kind of like the new, you don't want to say it because it sounds a little disrespectful, but y'all know what I mean. Not like he's ever going to replace him, but like the new age Troy P. And when you look at him, you hear the name, you see him play, it makes sense. It's more fun than anything, but it really is true where it's like, wow, that could be really his ceiling. Just a hard hitter, awesome in all aspects of the game. Talanoa Hufanga is a super fun, exciting young player. At number 4, we have Kevin Byrd. So if you asked me at the end of last season who the best safety in the league was, I would have told you Kevin Byrd. Because for a long period of time, up until then, he was playing at that level. But don't get me wrong, Kevin Byrd is still an amazing safety, which is exactly why he's on this list here, number 4. Just a little bit of a regression last year. Whether it's the fact that he turned 29, almost 30, or whether it's the fact that Titans just had an off year, personally, I don't know. But hopefully he gets back to to that all-pro level that we know he can be at. Regardless, still a real solid season last year. 4 interceptions, 6 passes defended, 108 combined tackles, and then 1 hit on the quarterback as well. Kevin Byrd is one of those guys who's affecting the game best when he's just up top, rangy. That's Kevin Byrd. Just an incredibly smart, fluid player. You got to know where he is at all times, because if you don't, I promise he'll make you pay. Then at number 3, we got Derwin James. Let me be clear. In the league, Derwin James is one of those guys where I'll claim, like, that's my guy. You know, I love Derwin James. I've always loved his game since he came out. So combine that with the fact that he really is one of the best defenders in the league, and you say, how is he at number 3 on the safeties list? This is what I was telling you all about. Making this list for the defensive players was so much harder than the offense. And it was for guys like this, where these position groups are so stacked out towards the top. No matter how you do the top 3, you hate yourself. But yeah, man, for how it was this year, I had him rounding out number 3. Let me explain. I think first things first, you know, Derwin still didn't play every game last year. That's kind of been Derwin's stilo, is that, you know, you're not sure how often you're going to get him, especially since that major knee injury. But things have been a lot better since that injury. And, you know, you pray, you know, knock on wood, it keeps up. Because we as fans love having Derwin play. Derwin's just a fun, exciting player for a lot of reasons. Great length, super athletic, absolute ball hawk. And it shows statistically. Got 2 interceptions last year, 6 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles, 4 sacks, 115 combined tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, coupled with 5 quarterback hits. Derwin James just everywhere, and you can allow him to be everywhere. He's so long, he's so lanky. There's just so much good stuff about him. You could throw him in the box, you could throw him up top. Derwin is just the definition of versatile in today's NFL. And at number 2, I'm prepared to catch a lot of flack. Like I said, whenever I have a one in my list where I know the people are going to really hate on it in the comments, I'm going to preface it just because I need y'all to know that I know that this might not be exactly what y'all are thinking. But again, let me explain myself. Give me a chance here. Number 2, already, we're going Kyle Hamilton. So again, I'm hearing you. You know, Kyle Hamilton didn't necessarily start all these games, didn't play a lot compared to these other players. The snap count's not as high. You know, the stats aren't there compared to, how could you do this? Well, again, like I said before about a few guys, this one is more of a projection of where I think he'll be at the end of this year. But look, regardless, you saw how we played last year when he was in there and when he was getting starting time. Kyle Hamilton was locking shit down. Not only locking things down, he's just so lanky compared to a lot of other players that play safety. He has the natural length, that 6'4" height, but he's also got that rangy speed, great jumping ability, super agile. And we knew this coming out. Kyle Hamilton was a very, very highly regarded prospect because of all these awesome traits that he has. Got healthy, shows that when he plays his game, Kyle Hamilton is unbelievable. I guarantee it. If Kyle Hamilton can stay healthy next year, play week 1 to 17, end of the year next year, everybody's gonna be talking about Kyle Hamilton, and everybody will be with me on the consensus here that Kyle Hamilton is a top 3 safety in the league. Like I said, I know right now you might not believe it. You might hate me for saying it, but it's not going to change it. It's true. Then at number 1, we got Minkah Fitzpatrick. And I don't think this is too much of a surprise. You know, hopefully I'm gathering you guys back here who I might have lost with my number 2, you know, if you guys weren't feeling that one. No, but jokes aside, Minkah Fitzpatrick's just unbelievably dominant. And he has been really ever since he came in the league. All-pro selection last year, leading the league with 6 interceptions, one of them being a pick 6, 11 passes defended, 96 total tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, and 1 hit on the quarterback. So obviously, Minkah's at his best, just roaming up high, just making life hell for any quarterback. And we know he does that incredibly well. But not only is he incredible in zone, completely viable in man, fantastic tackler. Minkah, one of those guys, just puts fear into an offense. And truly, that always will be the best trait you can have as a defender. Thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it as always. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, sub to the channel. We appreciate it. It helps out a ton. And you guys have a great rest of your day.